What's up, what's going on, legends? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm bringing you guys the mission guide for tier 3 of the Legion faction. This one is going to be unlocked as soon as you complete the last and final mission of tier 2, and this one consists of 7 total missions, 5 of which you will have to complete in order to unlock the final one, and once you unlock the final one, it will allow you to move on to tier 4. But before we dive into it, if you guys do enjoy this content anytime or find this video helpful in any way, make sure you show your support for the channel by going down below and smashing that like button. Let's go ahead and throw an easy goal of 100 likes on today's video, as well as if you guys like to find your way back to the channel for more Call of Duty content, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button alongside that notification bell so you don't miss your future videos. All right, first up, we have Fort Scout. This is going to be a 3-parter. Part 1 is going to ask you to travel to Errl Fortress. So if you're lucky enough to get the spawn where you're there, you'll get this completed immediately. If not, you'll want to make your way to Errl Fortress. Once you get in the area, this part will be completed. Now that you're in the area, for part 2, you're going to loot 12 caches in Errl Fortress. This is going to include medicine cabinets, anything that you look at that says loot cache. As long as you look at it, you don't even have to pull the items out. You will obviously be able to do this 12 times and get this guy complete pretty quickly. Now, the last and final part will take you a little bit of time and can be frustrating just depending on your experience, is to kill 30 enemies in Errl Fortress. Now, I recommend using the little UAV ping tower there, as it will give you a pretty good idea where most of the people are. You'll be able to run around and eliminate the 30 enemies and get this done and this entire mission completed. Next up, we have Dead Drop. This one can be a little bit of a pain, but there is a strategy to making it easier. Part 1 is asking you to travel to Al Mazrah City. Similar to the previous one, literally once you get in the area of Al Mazrah City, you'll get part 1 completed, and maybe you'll even be lucky enough to spawn here. Part 2, however, is a little bit more difficult. It's going to ask you to deliver 20 pieces of lethal equipment to the dumpster dead drop in Sarwana Hotel Alley, north of Al Mazrah City Post Office. So a little bit north of the Al Mazrah City Post Office, which I'll obviously show you guys on the map, is going to be the Sarwana Hotel. Once you get familiar with the area, it'll be pretty easy to find. You're going to go over to the dead drop. You're going to place lethals into the dead drop, and this will obviously tally up. You're going to need to do this with 20 of them in order to actually complete it. I found that it was pretty easy to go save up some money, hit up a buy station. Helps if you have anyone else with you in the squad. Everybody buy a ton of munitions boxes. You go here, you basically just fill up your inventory or your bag as much as you can, and you kind of just keep depositing it until you hit this number. Next up, we have Commanding Intel. This one is going to be straightforward, as it is going to involve a contract. Part 1 is to acquire a secure intel contract. Now, if you guys open your TAC map and are looking at the contract phones, you're going to be looking for the one with the file and the question mark on it. You're obviously going to want to ping that, go over to the area, acquire it, and part 1 will be completed. Part 2, of course, is tied in with part 1. As long as you are able to do it, obviously, is going to be complete a secure intel contract to reveal the location of an enemy commander. So essentially, once you've acquired your intel contract, you're going to want to go to the first area to acquire the laptop. The second part at the tower. Once you get this completed, it'll actually call in an enemy commander, or at least to let you know what location they're in. Typically, it's going to be the Juggernaut. Sometimes it's the Helo. Now, for the final part of this one, it's going to be to kill a commander. Now, obviously, once you've completed the secure intel contract, it's going to let you know where on the map this commander is. You're going to go to the location. You're going to eliminate them, whether it's the Juggernaut or the Helo, does not matter. And once you've actually taken them out, this part will be completed and commanding intel will be finished. Next up, we have Good Fortune. This guy is going to be a 2-parter, and it's going to take you over to the Sawa Village. Part 1 is asking you to unlock room 302 in the top floor of the Sawa Hotel. Now, usually you would need a key to unlock a locked door. However, for this one in particular, you will not need the key. I'm not really sure how this works out, but it does. Essentially, you'll go to where I show you on the map. You're going to scale up to the top of the building via the ladder. There's going to be holes in the roof. You're going to want to look through each of these holes to make sure you go into the room that has the golden GS50. You're going to drop into that room and unlock the door from the inside, which will get part 1 completed. Part 2, however, is going to be a little bit more difficult. It's going to ask you to loot and extract that golden GS50 from room 302 in the Sawa Hotel. So you're going to have to pick that up, obviously, as a secondary or primary. It doesn't really matter. And you're going to want to extract safely. You will want to be cautious doing this because, obviously, if not, you'll have to go all the way back to that building, go back through the whole situation in order to try to extract again. Once you extract with this, it will be completed. Next up, we have Tactical Extraction. Part 1 is going to ask you to extract with 13 gas grenades. Now, of course, in order to do this, you're essentially going to want to go in with the gas grenade already equipped in order to make things easier. And the best way I found to actually do this was to rack up a bunch of money, buy some munitions boxes, throw them down until I had acquired a full inventory of gas grenades. You do a combination of the next 2 parts of the challenge as well. Part 2, of course, is extract 11 flash grenades along the same lines here. You're going to want to basically go in with a flash equipped and then you could use munitions boxes to kind of rack those up. You could also just choose to loot these. It's kind of up to you. And then part 3 is to extract with 7 snapshots. Again, the same lines as the previous 2. You're going to want to utilize munitions boxes to prevent you having to loot for as many of these as possible. That way you guys will be able to extract quicker, as you won't be traveling all over the map trying to loot and putting yourself in different situations. You'll kind of put yourself at less risk by doing the munitions box way, and it will overall be faster. Once you do this with each of these, you will have completed tactical extract. Next up, we have Recon Flyover. This guy could be one of the most irritating ones of this tier. Part 1 is asking you to acquire a recon drone. This is pretty easy. You can choose to go in and loot one if you'd like, but the better route to do is to just equip one before actually loading in. That way you'll spawn with a recon drone and this part will be completed. Part 2 is probably the more frustrating part of the entire mission, and it's going to be to tag 20 enemies with a recon drone at half-id port. So of course, once you've got a recon drone equipped, or you've managed to get a few by looting and you're ready to go over there, I could definitely recommend bringing as many as you can actually carry over there. You're going to want to pop those and try to tag the enemies in the half-id port area. The real issue here is some cases I was able to get 5 or more tags, other cases they would shoot it down instantly, and in the cases they shot it down instantly, it was kind of frustrating because I wanted to go here as few times as possible. Now part 3 will be a little bit easier than part 2. It's just going to require you to kill 30 enemies at half-id port. Just make sure it says half-id port at the top of your screen when you're eliminating them, and you'll get this guy done pretty quickly. I would say get part 2 done first, as eliminating the enemies will make it to where you have nobody to ping. And for our last and final mission, which will just require you to complete 5 of the previous missions that we had just discussed, is going to be no rushing. This guy is going to be a 2-parter, and it is a little bit more on the frustrating end as well, but it isn't the most difficult. Part 1 is asking you to kill 10 enemies at Al Malik Terminal with a Sakin MG38, which is an LMG with a 150 round magazine and Sashki bipod. Now really the only way to do this, because obviously you would have to extract with one of these weapons by chance if you didn't actually do this, would be to go in with your insured weapon. You're going to want to make sure to put on the Sakin MG38 LMG, put on that 150 round magazine and the Sashki bipod, and you'll want to infill with this and take it over to the airport and eliminate 10 enemies. Once you've done that, part 1 will be completed. Part 2 though is a lot more irritating, as you don't have complete control of how this is going to work out. It's going to be to shoot down 3 reinforcement choppers at Al Malik Terminal with a Sakin MG38 with that same 150 round magazine and the Sashki bipod. Now the tricky part with this is that you're going to have to make it over to the airport, which is a pretty contested area. I recommend getting onto the roof. However, the reinforcements weren't really consistent. I was taking out AI as fast as I could, and sometimes the reinforcements would come in faster than others. Sometimes we'd go tons of time without any coming in at all. Once those reinforcements start flying in, you're going to want to laser those guys out of the sky. Pretty much going to take the entire 150 round magazine to actually explode it. And as long as you're the one that gets the explosion, it should count towards your progress. It was a little buggy and inconsistent. So there were times when my teammate actually destroyed it and it didn't count for me, and there was times where I destroyed it, it didn't count for them. So you guys are going to want to make sure that you do this 3 times. You can do it in the same match, as they will continue to come as long as you hold down that area. And then obviously part 2 will be completed. After this, it will of course unlock tier 4 of the Legion faction, which will allow you guys to continue on your journey. That's going to wrap things up for all of the missions in tier 3 of the Legion faction. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support on the channel, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace.